What's up guys, this is the Honest Outlaw here, and today we're going to be doing a full review on the Springfield XDS 9mm. If you haven't seen the unboxing video that I did of this, I'll show you the box really quick. It comes with a manual, some other stuff, pistol here, shell casings, extra fiber optic rod, which is nice. Comes with a cleaning kit, an extra magazine, which is nice as well, and it comes with the extended magazine, which I ran for the majority of the test, and I'll tell you why here in a second. Alright, so this is the XDS 4.0, which is a departure from the most common versions of the XDS, which is the 3.0, that is the 3-inch slide. The reason why I went with the 4.0 is because it was just unique, and honestly I think the Springfield Armory XDS is kind of a unique pistol to begin with. It gets lumped in with pistols like the Shield and the Glock 43 here, which I'll show in from time to time and explain some of the differences and similarities between those. But it gets lumped in with the basically the single stack 9mm bunch. You know, Walther PPS, lots of other guns fit in that category. Other than your basically commander size 1911s, which are much heavier, or your car pistols, which have double action triggers, which I don't love, this is basically the only single stack 4-inch pistol that I've found. Other than the car and 1911s, which I've had some reliability issues, let's talk about some of the things that sets this pistol apart from things like the G43. First off, it's 4 inches long. I like that because how I carry the Glock 43, I actually carry outside the waistband because I have some back problems. So 4-inch single stack, it still is single stack, so it's close to your body, which is nice. You can conceal it with a t-shirt, but the 4-inch allows a little extra accuracy and recoil mitigation, which we'll talk about here in a minute as well. It also has back straps on it, which is most other concealed carry size pistols don't offer that. The texture is also significantly different from lots of other pistols. If you look at pistols like, again, the G43, I have to put sandpaper grip because there's almost no texture at all. I think the Shield's texture, personally, is even worse. So I like the option to have back straps, and I like the little extra texture without being way too abrasive. Another thing that sets it apart and makes it kind of similar to a 1911 is this grip safety, which we'll talk about in more detail here in a second. And the accessory rail, which is also really nice. I think that Walther has a model of pistol similar in size to this that has an accessory rail also. The only problem I have with the accessory rail is it won't fit the Surefire XC1. That's the only weapon light I tried. It's the smallest one that I own, and it didn't fit it, so that was kind of a bummer. But either way, I'm sure that there are lights out there that fit that, or they wouldn't have put it on there. I think this gun is great for concealed carry, as I said before. I think that's probably the only use I would use this pistol for. If you only had one gun though, this would be a good choice because I think it handles a little bit better than these smaller pistols while still being almost as good at concealing. It also would be a good pistol to jump from a 1911 to. If you're, into steel guns and you want to get a plastic gun and you want to try it out, say you run a Springfield Armory 1911, like one I reviewed a week ago or so, this would be a good jump. Similar controls, similar grip angle, you got your grip safety, and it's even made by Springfield. So if you're jumping from a 1911 to a plastic gun, this is probably a pretty good option. There's also models that come with a thumb safety, and there's also models that are in 45 for you guys who won't go any less than 45. They have an option available for you. As far as like home defense and shit hit the fan kind of scenario, I would really opt for something a little bit bigger, like a G19, or even a G26 is around the same size, but it is a double stack magazine. As I said before, this pistol comes in 9mm. It has a dual recoil spring, which I think really works. I was really surprised at the low recoil of this pistol. For the size that it is, I was really impressed at how fast I could transition between targets and how quickly I could stay on the gun. It's got fiber optic sights. It's got a red fiber optic in the front there, if you see that, and 2 white dots in the rear. Traditionally, I like to have a blacked out rear with a red fiber front, but it worked fine. It didn't slow me down at all. But the only con I would say is if you're making a carry pistol, maybe opt for night sights, maybe something high vis like a Trijicon HD front or something like that. But as I said in the unboxing video, if fiber optic sights do break on you, they pretty much just turn into regular sights. So it's not that big of a deal. But I would definitely prefer the fiber optic sights over just traditional sights. It is 26 ounces, 4.4 inches tall with the smaller sized magazine, and 5 inches tall with the extended magazine. It's got a 4-inch hammer forged barrel, which is nice, 1 in 10 twist, and it's 9 inches in total length with either a 7 or 8 round capacity. Now getting back to the weight here a second, 26 ounces doesn't sound like much. It's about the size of what, a Glock 19, something like that. But for this small a pistol, I would like to have it a little bit lighter. For me, I'm used to carrying, again, the G43. I carry it quite a bit, and the reason for that is because it's very, very light. A G43 fully loaded is lighter than the XDS with no ammo in it at all. The reliability was also pretty awesome for the conditions that we shot it in. Now, every pistol that we've shot lately has had some issues, regardless of how good of a track record it's had. Due to the cold, we shot this pistol, the majority of it, we shot it in 20 degrees or lower, all the way down to about -10 or -15. It had, I would say, about 5 malfunctions out of 300, which I think is acceptable for sure. I wouldn't have any issues trusting myself with that, especially considering that I was using either reloaded ammunition or cheap ammunition like American Eagle or Winchester White Box. Those I use either Freedom Munitions remanufactured or those two as my primary ammunitions that I test firearms with. Now, we did run some Hornady Critical Defense through this, which is the ammunition that I choose to carry, for the most part anyway. I switch it up every once in a while, and it had no issues. So I think with higher pressured self-defense ammunition, you aren't going to see any problems. When most people think of Springfield Armory, most people think of the company that George Washington had a hand in and stuff like that, but the reality is that company closed, I believe, and became a museum. Then another company sometime in the 70s opened it up called Springfield Armory Inc., which is the company that imports this pistol, doesn't make it, imports this pistol from Croatia. The original design of this pistol was called, I believe, the H5 2000, and it was made in 2002, and as I said, it's imported from Croatia. But that doesn't say anything about the quality. I still think the quality of this pistol is excellent regardless of where it's made. Lots of pistols that are made out of the United States have excellent quality as well, so you really can't judge the pistol just because it's not made in the United States. Accuracy was great. The best small concealed carry pistol that I've ever shot. I could hit relatively easily from 50 yards. I could hit every time from 50 yards. And 60, 65-ish, I started missing a few, and at 75, I was kind of not so good. But I shoot the, again, G43 all the time, and I saw as good or better accuracy from this. Part of that is that longer sight radius that you get with the 4.0, and the fact that the XD comes with a little better trigger out of the box than the Glocks do. The sights really help out as well. A lot of times when you see sights in carry pistols, they're kind of janky. However, these are excellent. Not only that, but they're the sights I prefer. I don't like to have a lot of air in my rear sight. I know some people say those are combat style sights. They're meant for speed. I see a lot of accuracy decrease with a huge rear notch, but I don't see a lot of speed increase. So I prefer to have my sights a little bit tighter, and that's how these come from the factory. As I said before, though, and I say in most of my videos, that pistols are inherently pretty accurate, at least modern day pistols, and the accuracy that I talk about is practical accuracy, basically how high quality are the sights, how high quality the trigger, how much of a purchase can you get on the firearm. Those things really equate to accuracy in my opinion. As I said before, it has really low recoil. I think part of that is that recoil spring. I think another part of it is the weight of the pistol. It's got a couple ounces on some of the other subcompact single stacks, so I think that helps mitigate the recoil also. I think I said earlier that the XDS is 26 ounces. I actually have 23 written down here, so don't kill me in the comments for that. And I also wrote down the G43 is 18 ounces and the Shield is 19 ounces. So sorry if I Misread that earlier. It's actually 23 ounces. Another thing about the pistol that I really like is it has a really good look to it. I like when pistols come from the factory with this two-tone finish. I've said that in a couple reviews in the past, but I think it looks really sharp and it looks higher quality. Especially this 4.0 is relatively modular. I'm sure that you could get a hold of a 3-inch slide and put it on there. That way you could have a smaller concealed carry pistol when you want to, and then all you have to do is pop this magazine out and put the smaller one in, and you have a much smaller pistol. Another advantage to this design is that traditionally from inside the waistband or even outside the waistband carry, you can usually hide the slide a little bit easier than you can the grip. If you have a longer t-shirt or something, you can cover that up. However, if you have a long grip, it sticks out the back. It also sticks in your car seats and things like that, so it's just more comfortable to have a smaller grip. And I shot from 50 yards and I speed shot and did all kinds of other stuff with this grip as well, and it didn't really impede my shooting that much. All in all, some of the problems that we ran into and that I've read from some other sources, one problem that I didn't see that I've heard a lot about is this chamber indicator here. It's got a loaded chamber indicator that pops up when you have a round in the chamber. Apparently though, when the pistol gets really dirty, you can have some failures with that, and it'll stay popped up even when you don't have a round in the chamber. So always make sure to chamber check and do a visual inspection just to make sure and be safe. The ambi magazine release was a nightmare. If there was anything to get me to not like this pistol, it was the magazine release. I don't know what in the hell was going on with it. I don't know if this is the only pistol that you see this with. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's a training issue. I do have pretty big hands, and when I try to reach for it, I just cannot release the magazine with gloves on. I can do it inside here in front of the video relatively easily, but when the slide is locked back and I have gloves on and it's outside, I could not get that thing to release. Even now when the slide's locked back, see me pushing here, it's relatively difficult to get your finger inside that little groove because you have to push that magazine release all the way down to where it's flush. And like I said, I have pretty big hands, I'm 6'3", and I just cannot get my finger in there to release the mag, so I always had to break my grip, pull my finger over, and really push in. And as I said before, it's got an ambi magazine release, and if you're a lefty, maybe that's cool for you, but for me, I would prefer a standard release just so I can release my magazines. It's got an undercut trigger guard here, which I really like. It's got a little bit of texture on the trigger guard also for you guys like Jerry Michalek or Nothing Fancy who put their finger up there. The grip safety I traditionally despise on lots of pistols, even on 1911s. I've talked about pinning them in. This one doesn't seem to bother me at all. I think because the grip is so small that you can't really grab it without engaging that grip safety. And if grip safeties work the way they were supposed to, I think it's a great idea. However, I've had lots of problems, especially with 1911s in the past, where you grab a pistol a certain way and the gun doesn't fire and you can't figure out why, and you're trying to clear malfunctions and doing other stupid shit. And I just don't like that. It just adds another layer of complexity that you don't really want in a situation where stuff happens fast and under stress. Lots of bad things can happen in a self-defense situation, so I would prefer not having that. All in all, guys, I think that if you're looking for something a little bit different, I think if you like the 1911 platform and you even want to get a thumb safety there, you can get that as well. If you're looking for something different, I think this is a great option. I wouldn't, snark at you if you chose this for your personal carry, the 3-inch or the 4-inch. For me, I don't think I would carry it for some of the options or for some of the reasons why I stated below, mainly the weight. That's number one. It makes the pistol a little more shootable. However, I can definitely adequately shoot the G43, and for the a smaller profile with less weight, I would just prefer that. But again, everybody has their pros and cons, everybody has their personal preferences, and I think it's awesome that there are options out here for guys who think a little bit differently or just want something different. There's that aspect as well. If you want to carry something that isn't a Glock or isn't a Smith & Wesson, for me, here's your option. All in all, I would give it a 9 out of 10. 500,000 XD owners, can't be that wrong. Please like and subscribe if you liked the video. Please help out your local homeless shelters, and remember to recycle. Check you later.